Hello there, and welcome to the Sleepy Wisdom Channel. Tonight, we'll be exploring the ancient world of yoga, one of humanity's most enduring paths of self-understanding. Many people first meet yoga through movement, but its older purpose reaches much further. It asks what the mind is doing while the body is still. It asks why breath can change the way we feel. It asks how a person can act in the world without being ruled by fear, craving, or restlessness. Across centuries, yoga became a practical study of attention. It offered a way to examine suffering without turning away from life. It taught that discipline can become freedom when it is guided by wisdom. It also showed that the smallest practice can reveal something large about the self. This journey will move through ancient teachings, living traditions, and ideas that still shape modern well-being. Some may feel familiar. Others may completely change what yoga seems to be. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or share a thought below. It helps others find their way here too, one sleepy soul at a time. But for now, all you need to do is settle in. Let your shoulders relax and notice your eyes grow heavy. And as the day begins to gently fade away, join me as we explore this ancient path of yoga together. Let's begin. Yoga began as a path to freedom, not fitness. Long before it became a class on the weekly schedule, it was a serious attempt to answer one of the oldest human questions. Why does the mind feel trapped, even when the body is alive and moving? Early practitioners were not simply chasing flexibility. They were studying attachment, fear, memory, desire, and the strange sense of being imprisoned by one's own thoughts. This makes yoga far more radical than many people expect. It was not designed as an escape from life. It was designed as a training ground for seeing life clearly. Some people even wonder whether the ancient yogis were mapping a kind of inner technology, one that used posture, breath, discipline, and attention to alter the way consciousness experiences itself. That may sound unusual at first, yet the idea is simple. A person who cannot govern attention is easily governed by everything else. Ancient yogis studied attention as carefully as modern scientists study matter. They did not have brain scanners, digital clocks, or laboratory machines. What they had was patience, sharp observation, and an astonishing willingness to examine the mind from the inside. They noticed that attention could wander, tighten, split, return, and deepen. They watched how a single thought could change breathing, posture, mood, and choice. This was not casual daydreaming. It was disciplined inner research repeated over generations. Some people look at these traditions and wonder whether ancient India developed one of the earliest sciences of consciousness. Not science in the modern institutional sense, but a careful method based on repeated practice and direct experience. The yogi became both the observer and the experiment. The mind became the field of study. The result was a vast body of teachings that treated attention as something trainable. That idea still feels powerful today because most suffering begins when attention is captured before wisdom can speak. Breath became yoga's secret doorway between body, mind, and spirit. The breath is strange because it belongs to two worlds at once. It happens by itself, yet it can also be guided. It changes when we are afraid, calm, angry, focused, exhausted, or deeply moved. Ancient practitioners saw this and treated breathing as more than air moving through the lungs. They treated it as a bridge into hidden states of being. In many traditions, breath practice was considered serious work, not relaxation decoration. A slow breath could steady the nerves. A held breath could reveal fear. A measured breath could make the mind feel less scattered. Some people speculate that yogis discovered a back door into the nervous system long before modern language existed for it. That is what makes the subject so fascinating. Something as ordinary as breathing was turned into a precise instrument. The body was not forced into silence. It was listened to until it gave up its secrets. The Yoga Sutras describe inner stillness as a trainable skill. This is one of the great surprises of the tradition. Calm is not presented as a mood that arrives by luck. It is presented as something that can be cultivated through practice, discipline, and clear seeing. The famous teaching about stilling the movements of the mind is often misunderstood as a command to become blank. It is more subtle than that. The mind keeps producing impressions, reactions, stories, and fears. Yoga asks whether the person underneath all of that can learn to stop being dragged around by every inner movement. Some people find this almost shocking because it suggests that peace is not merely emotional comfort. It is a trained capacity. That changes everything. The text does not flatter the restless mind. It studies it. It treats confusion as something with causes. It treats freedom as something that can be approached step by step through repeated effort and honest observation. Asana originally meant a steady seat for deep meditation. Today, many people hear the word and imagine a wide range of physical poses. In its older setting, the idea was much simpler and much more demanding. The body needed to become stable enough for the mind to turn inward without constant disturbance. That may sound modest, yet anyone who has tried to sit still for a long time knows how revealing it becomes. The knee complains. The back argues. The attention looks for an exit. Suddenly, the body becomes a teacher. A steady seat was not about looking impressive. It was about creating the conditions for deeper perception. Some people believe this earlier meaning changes the way we understand the whole practice. The posture was never the final prize. It was the doorway. The question was not how dramatic the shape appeared from outside. The question was whether the practitioner could remain awake, steady, and present inside it. Patanjali gave yoga one of history's clearest maps of consciousness. What makes this figure so important is not biography, because the historical details remain uncertain. The power lies in the system associated with his name. The mind is described with remarkable precision. There are disturbances, habits, misperceptions, memories, cravings, and deeper patterns that shape a life before a person notices them. Instead of treating human confusion as random, the teaching lays it out as something that can be examined. That is why some readers feel they are encountering an ancient psychology disguised as spiritual instruction. It does not simply say to be peaceful. It explains why peace is difficult. It does not simply praise wisdom. It describes the obstacles that cloud it. Some people even see this system as a manual for debugging consciousness. That phrase is modern, but the comparison is useful. The text points toward a mind that can become less distorted when it learns how to see itself. The 8 limbs turn ordinary life into a complete spiritual practice. This is where yoga becomes much larger than exercise or meditation alone. The path includes conduct, discipline, posture, breath, withdrawal of the senses, concentration, meditation, and absorption. Yet the real genius is the structure. It does not separate private spirituality from daily behavior. How a person speaks matters. How a person handles desire matters. How a person uses attention matters. The practice follows you into relationships, work, rest, conflict, and solitude. Some people find this challenging because it leaves fewer hiding places. You cannot perform calm on a mat and then live carelessly everywhere else. The whole life becomes the training. That is why this model has survived for so long. It offers a complete architecture of transformation. The body is included, but it is not isolated. The mind is trained, but it is not worshipped. The character is shaped, because freedom without character can quickly become another form of confusion. Yoga teaches that suffering often begins with mistaken identity. This is one of its most mind-opening claims. The problem is not only pain, loss, or difficulty. The deeper problem is that we mistake passing experiences for the whole of who we are. A thought appears and we say, "I am this thought." A fear rises and we say, "I am this fear." A role becomes important and we build a prison around it. Yoga asks us to look again. What if awareness is not the same as the changing contents inside it? What if the witness of experience is more stable than the drama it observes? Some people consider this one of the great turning points in spiritual philosophy. It does not deny ordinary life. It questions our identification with every wave that moves through it. This teaching can feel unsettling at first because it loosens familiar certainties. Yet it can also feel liberating because not every inner voice deserves the throne. A single posture can reveal habits hidden in the mind. At first, the body seems to be doing the work. Then, something more interesting begins. Impatience appears. Pride appears. Comparison appears. Frustration appears when the shape is difficult. Vanity appears when the shape is easy. The posture has become a mirror, and the mirror is honest. This is why the practice can be fascinating even when the movement looks simple. A person may discover how quickly the mind demands success, how sharply it judges limitation, or how often it tries to escape discomfort. Some teachers say, the body does not lie in the same way the personality does. That may be why physical practice can reveal hidden material so directly. It bypasses the polished stories we tell about ourselves. Some people even describe it as a controlled encounter with the ego. Nothing dramatic needs to happen. A tight hip, a shaking leg, or an unsteady balance can expose an entire inner strategy. Modern yoga is only one branch of a much older tree. The version many people know today is real, but it is not the whole story. The wider tradition includes philosophy, meditation, breath control, mantra, devotion, ethics, renunciation, ritual, and intense forms of self-inquiry. Across time, different communities emphasize different methods. Some focused on knowledge, some focused on love, some focused on disciplined action. Others explored the body as a gateway into subtle experience. This variety matters because it prevents a narrow understanding. A yoga studio may be one doorway, but the house is vast. Some people are surprised to learn that postural practice became especially prominent in more recent global history. That does not make it false. It simply means the tradition has evolved, adapted, and traveled. The older background gives modern practice deeper roots. It also raises an intriguing question. When a powerful tradition becomes popular worldwide, how much of its original purpose travels with it? The Sanskrit word yoga means union, discipline, and focused joining. A single word can carry a whole worldview. In its ancient setting, it comes from a root connected with yoking or joining, like fastening a team to a purpose. That image is practical rather than vague. The scattered parts of a person are gathered. The senses, mind, breath, and intention are brought into alignment. This is why the word can suggest both union and disciplined method. It is not merely a pleasant feeling of connection. It is a training of forces that often pull in different directions. Some people find this especially relevant now because modern life fragments attention so easily. One part of us wants peace. Another part reaches for distraction. Another part repeats old fear. Yoga names the act of bringing these forces under wiser guidance. The word itself hints that human beings are not usually unified by default. We become more whole through practice. Vedic seekers used sound before postures became widely known. In the earliest layers of Indian sacred culture, sound carried enormous importance. Chanting was not treated as decorative background. It was a precise act, passed carefully from teacher to student. The voice preserved teachings before writing became the main vessel. Rhythm, pronunciation, and memory mattered because sound was thought to shape awareness and connect human life with a larger order. This gives yoga a very different beginning from the modern image of mats and stretches. The first doorway was often vibration, listening, and recitation. Some people are fascinated by the possibility that ancient practitioners understood sound as a technology of consciousness, not in a mechanical sense, but as a way of training attention and changing inner state. A repeated phrase can steady the mind. A sacred syllable can gather scattered thought. Before the body became the public symbol of yoga, the listening mind was already being trained through the power of spoken sound. The Upanishads transformed ritual religion into direct inner investigation. Earlier, sacred life often centered on outward offering and inherited ceremony. Then, a remarkable shift began. Some thinkers turned the great questions inward. What is the self? What remains when every changing thing is stripped away? What is the deepest reality behind experience? These texts did not simply reject ritual. They moved the center of gravity from external performance to inner knowing. That shift helped create the philosophical atmosphere in which yoga could deepen. The human being was no longer only someone performing duties before the sacred. The human being became a field of discovery. Some people see this as one of the boldest movements in spiritual history. It suggested that the mystery being sought was not only somewhere beyond the world. It could be investigated through consciousness itself. This is why these teachings still feel alive. They do not merely ask what we believe. They ask what we can directly realize. Krishna teaches yoga as wise action in the Bhagavad Gita. The setting is dramatic because the teaching is not given in a peaceful retreat. It is given at a moment of moral crisis. Arjuna is overwhelmed, and Krishna does not simply tell him to withdraw from life. He teaches a way of acting without being inwardly consumed by the results. This makes the Gita deeply practical. Yoga is not only stillness. It is how a person moves through responsibility, pressure, conflict, and uncertainty. The teaching asks for clarity in action rather than paralysis in the name of purity. Some people find this astonishing because it refuses an easy escape. The world is not treated as a mistake to abandon. It becomes the place where wisdom is tested. The real question is whether action can be guided by duty rather than ego. That idea still strikes hard because many people suffer not from action itself, but from the craving that clings to outcome. Karma yoga turns daily work into a path of liberation. This teaching can completely change the meaning of ordinary effort. Washing a dish, answering a message, caring for a family, building a craft, or serving a community can become part of spiritual training when the motive is transformed. The key is not the outer glamour of the task. The key is the inner relationship to it. Work becomes binding when it is driven by vanity, resentment, greed, or the hunger for reward. The same work can become freeing when it is offered with steadiness and less self-obsession. Some people consider this one of yoga's most democratic ideas. You do not need a cave, a special costume, or perfect circumstances to begin. Life is already handing you material for practice. The challenge is to act fully, while loosening the demand that everything serve the ego. In that sense, daily duty becomes a hidden monastery that no one else may recognize. Bhakti Yoga uses devotion to soften the separate self. This path understands something that pure analysis can miss. Human beings are moved by love, longing, gratitude, and surrender. Rather than treating emotion as a problem to suppress, devotion redirects the heart towards something greater than personal appetite. A name, a form, a sacred presence, or a chosen ideal becomes the focus of affection. The point is not theatrical sentiment. The point is transformation through relationship. When devotion matures, the hard boundary around the isolated self begins to loosen. Some people are drawn to this because it makes spiritual life warm and human. It allows singing, remembrance, prayer, and service to become serious disciplines. There is also a fascinating psychological insight here. The heart will worship something even if it never uses religious language. It may worship approval, control, status, or fear. Bhakti asks whether that instinct can be purified until love becomes a way of awakening. Jnana Yoga asks the mind to question its own assumptions. This is the path for those who cannot rest until they have examined the foundation of experience. It uses inquiry, discrimination, and sustained reflection to cut through false identification. The practitioner asks what is changing and what is aware of change. The body changes. Feelings change. Opinions change. Memories change. Yet there is a witnessing presence that seems to know these movements. Jnana Yoga turns attention toward that mystery with disciplined seriousness. Some people find it almost like spiritual detective work. It does not accept a comforting answer simply because it feels good. It asks the mind to investigate the mind. That can be unsettling because many beliefs are inherited before they are examined. The path challenges the assumption that we already know who we are. It suggests that the deepest ignorance may not be lack of information. It may be certainty placed in the wrong location. Raja Yoga treats meditation as the royal road inward. The word royal matters because this path gives meditation a central place of authority. It does not treat inner stillness as a side effect or a pleasant supplement. It treats disciplined contemplation as a direct route toward mastery of the mind. The practitioner learns to gather attention, withdraw from distraction, and observe subtler layers of experience. This is not passive relaxation. It is a demanding training that asks the mind to stop obeying every impulse that knocks at the door. Some people see Raja Yoga as a complete psychology of self-command. It recognizes that a person may have intelligence, talent, and success, while still being ruled from within by agitation. The royal road is inward because the kingdom to be governed is consciousness itself. That image may sound grand, but the work is immediate. Sit down. Watch the mind. Return again. Notice what rules you when you are not paying attention. Hatha Yoga trained the body to serve inner awakening. This tradition brought a powerful shift in emphasis. The body was not dismissed as a burden or treated as a mere obstacle to spiritual life. It became a disciplined instrument. Practices involving posture, breath, cleansing methods, seals, and energetic focus were used to prepare the practitioner for deeper states. This does not mean the goal was physical display. The aim was transformation. The body became a laboratory where heat, pressure, steadiness, and sensitivity could be cultivated. Some people are fascinated by Hatha Yoga because it feels almost alchemical. It takes the dense material of everyday embodiment and treats it as something that can be refined. Modern culture often separates the physical from the spiritual. Hatha refuses that division. It suggests that the way we inhabit the body affects the way we experience reality. A slumped life and an awakened life may not breathe, stand, or pay attention in the same way. Early yogis saw breath control as a form of energy mastery. To them, breathing was not only a biological function, it was tied to vitality, perception, and inner power. By lengthening, holding, directing, and refining the breath, practitioners believed they could influence the movement of life force within the body. Whether someone interprets that literally, symbolically, or psychologically, the practice remains compelling. Breath is one of the few processes that can be both automatic and intentional. That makes it a remarkable lever. Ancient yogis noticed that when breath is wild, the mind is often wild. When breath becomes steady, attention can become more available. Some people imagine that these practitioners were exploring hidden circuitry inside human experience. The language may be ancient, but the insight still feels immediate. Change the breath, and something changes in the whole system. This is why breath control became a serious discipline rather than a minor exercise. It promised access to forces usually moving beneath awareness. Prana names the living force carried by breath and attention. In yogic thought, this word does not simply mean air. It points to the felt vitality that seems to animate the body from within. You can sense the idea in ordinary life. A tired person may breathe, yet feel drained. An inspired person may breathe with the same lungs, yet seem charged with presence. The ancient language of prana tries to describe that difference. It treats life as something that moves, gathers, weakens, and brightens according to how we live. Breath is one doorway into it, but attention matters as well. A scattered mind can feel like leaking energy in every direction. A focused mind can feel strangely gathered. Some people take this literally as a subtle force. Others see it as a powerful map of embodied experience. Either way, the concept is fascinating because it joins biology, awareness, and behavior into one living system. It asks us to notice where our force is actually going. The spine became central because yogis mapped awareness through the body. Many traditions placed unusual importance on the vertical axis of the human form. It was not only seen as structure or support, it became a pathway of attention. Sitting upright changes the way breathing feels, the way alertness gathers, and the way the mind relates to sleepiness. Ancient practitioners noticed this and turned posture into a kind of inner architecture. The spine became the line along which steadiness, subtle sensation, and meditative ascent could be imagined. Some people believe this was an early attempt to understand the relationship between bodily alignment and consciousness. The language can sound mysterious, yet the experience is immediate. Slump deeply, and the mind often follows. Lengthen through the back, and something in the system may become more awake. Yogis took that ordinary discovery and built a sophisticated practice around it. They treated the body as a map and the spine as the road that kept the map readable. Chakras describe subtle centers where body and mind seem to meet. The idea of chakras fascinates people because it turns the body into a layered field of meaning. These centers are often linked with different forms of experience, such as survival, expression, intuition, and inward steadiness. The important point is not to reduce them to simple physical organs. They belong to a symbolic and experiential map. A knot in the throat before speaking is not just an image. A heavy feeling in the chest after grief is not random to the person feeling it. Yogic traditions noticed that inner states often seem to gather in particular regions. Some people treat chakras as energetic structures. Others read them as a wise language for how emotion, attention, and embodiment interact. Either way, The map remains powerful because it gives shape to hidden experience. It suggests that the self is not locked inside the head. It is felt throughout the entire body. Kundalini represents dormant potential rather than ordinary physical strength. This is one of the most misunderstood ideas in yoga. It is often described dramatically, but at its heart, it points toward a profound possibility. Human beings may contain capacities that remain asleep until the right discipline, devotion, and preparation awaken them. The symbol is usually connected with energy rising through the subtle body. Some people interpret this as a real inner force. Others see it as a metaphor for consciousness becoming more integrated and powerful. What makes it so compelling is the claim that transformation is not merely improvement. It can be a radical reordering of perception. The ordinary self may not be the final version of the human being. That idea has attracted saints, seekers, experimenters, and plenty of wild speculation. Yet traditional warnings often insist on balance and maturity. The fascination is obvious. If the deepest potential is already within us, the real mystery is what keeps it sleeping. Mantra practice trains attention through repeated sacred sound. A mantra is not treated as an ordinary phrase. It is used as a precise tool for gathering the mind. Repetition gives attention something stable to return to, and sound gives the practice a physical presence. The voice may be spoken, whispered, or held inwardly. Over time, the phrase can become less like something a person says and more like something that carries them. This is why mantra appears in many yogic paths. It can steady emotion, shape memory, and interrupt the endless commentary of thought. Some people believe certain sounds hold intrinsic power. Others understand the effect through rhythm, focus, and repetition. Both views point to something intriguing. The mind is deeply vulnerable to the sounds it repeats. A person who repeats fear becomes trained by fear. A person who repeats a sacred focus may slowly become trained by steadiness. Mantra turns that principle into deliberate practice. Om became famous because it points beyond ordinary language. This syllable is widely known, yet its depth is often underestimated. It is associated with the totality of experience, including waking life, dreaming, deep sleep, and the silence beyond them. That is why it has been treated as more than a sound. It becomes a compact symbol of consciousness itself. When chanted slowly, it moves through the mouth and fades into stillness. That movement matters. It gives the practitioner a direct experience of arising, vibrating, dissolving, and resting. Some people find this almost cosmic, because a single syllable seems to contain an entire philosophy of existence. The fascination is not only in belief, it is in the way sound can make an idea bodily. You do not merely think about presence. You feel vibration become silence. In that moment, language reaches its edge. The teaching suggests that the deepest reality cannot be captured by speech, but speech can gesture toward it. Silence holds a respected place in many yoga traditions. For modern people, silence can feel empty or awkward. In yogic practice, it is often treated as a powerful condition for seeing what the mind is actually doing. When outer noise drops away, inner noise becomes harder to ignore. Restlessness gets louder. Memory starts speaking. The habit of distraction reveals itself. That is why silence is not always comfortable at first. It removes the cover. In some traditions, periods of silence were used to conserve energy, deepen attention, and reduce careless speech. This was not just politeness, it was training. Words can scatter the mind when they are used without awareness. Some people believe silence can become a kind of inner amplifier. It allows subtle perception to become noticeable. Others see it as psychological honesty. Either way, the practice challenges a culture that constantly fills space. It asks a simple question. What remains when you stop explaining yourself to the world? Meditation in yoga is practiced as observation, not escape. Many beginners imagine meditation as a way to float away from problems. The yogic view is sharper and more demanding. The practitioner learns to watch experience without being swallowed by it. Thoughts arise. Sensations shift. Emotions move through the body. The task is not to pretend they are absent. The task is to see them clearly enough that they lose some of their power to command. This changes the meaning of stillness. It is not withdrawal from reality. It is a more direct contact with reality as it appears in the mind. Some people find this unsettling because observation reveals patterns they used to obey automatically. It can show how quickly irritation forms, how often fear invents stories, and how deeply the self wants control. Yet this is precisely the doorway. When you can observe a movement without becoming it, a new kind of freedom begins to appear. Concentration was considered a foundation for true inner freedom. This may sound surprising because freedom is often imagined as doing whatever one wants. Yoga takes a different view. A person who cannot hold attention is not truly free. They can be pulled by every impulse, every distraction, every remembered injury, and every passing desire. Concentration gives the mind a center. It teaches attention to remain with one chosen object instead of being dragged away by habit. In traditional practice, this capacity prepares the ground for deeper meditation. It is like strengthening the lens before trying to see distant detail. Some people compare it to reclaiming the steering wheel of consciousness. Without it, the mind is driven by whatever shouts loudest. With it, there is space for choice. This is why concentration is not merely useful for work or study. It becomes a spiritual discipline. The trained mind is not a smaller mind. It is a mind less easily captured. The yamas turn ethics into the first posture of yoga. Before the body bends, the character is asked to straighten. That is the force of this teaching. The yamas are restraints or moral disciplines, and their placement is revealing. Yoga does not begin with impressive physical skill. It begins with the way a person causes harm, speaks, takes, desires, and clings. This can be uncomfortable because it moves the practice out of performance and into conscience. You cannot separate inner awakening from ordinary behavior. Some people find this one of the most powerful corrections to modern spirituality. It prevents the search for higher states from becoming an excuse for lower conduct. The first posture is how you live with others. The first alignment is honesty in action. The first flexibility is the willingness to be corrected. That makes yoga far more demanding than it may appear from outside. It asks not only whether you can sit still, but whether you can become trustworthy. Ahimsa teaches that non-harm begins inside one's own thoughts. The idea is often translated as non-violence, but its reach goes deeper than outward behavior. It asks a person to examine the subtle aggression of the mind. Harsh self-talk, contempt for others, impatience, and hidden resentment can all become forms of injury. This does not mean becoming weak or unable to set boundaries. It means refusing to let cruelty become the inner climate. Ancient teachers understood that action begins long before the hand moves. It begins in perception, judgment, and intention. Some people are struck by how modern this feels. A person may never raise a fist, yet live in constant warfare with themselves. Ahimsa challenges that private violence. It asks whether strength can be separated from hostility. It asks whether truth can be spoken without the pleasure of wounding. In that sense, non-harm is not passive niceness. It is disciplined power under the guidance of compassion. Satya asks truthfulness to become gentle, useful, and courageous. Truth in yoga is not treated as a weapon for the ego. It is a discipline that must be joined with non-harm. That makes it more demanding than blunt honesty. A person may say something accurate and still use it to dominate, shame, or display superiority. Satya asks for something cleaner. It asks speech to serve reality rather than vanity. It also requires courage, because convenient lies often protect comfort. The practitioner must notice where they exaggerate, hide, flatter, pretend, or distort. Some people find this teaching especially sharp because it exposes the tiny falsehoods that build a false life. A half-truth repeated for years can become an identity. A silence maintained through fear can become a cage. Satya does not ask for cruelty in the name of honesty. It asks for alignment between what is known, what is spoken, and what is lived. That alignment can be deeply liberating. Austere warns against stealing time, attention, and trust. The usual meaning is non-stealing, but yogic ethics often reaches beyond obvious theft. A person can take what was never offered in subtle ways. They can waste another person's time through carelessness. They can demand attention without giving presents in return. They can borrow confidence and repay it with betrayal. This makes the teaching unexpectedly modern. It does not only ask whether you take objects, it asks whether you live as someone who respects the invisible property of others. Trust may be the most delicate example. Once taken unfairly, it is difficult to restore. Some people see austere as a profound lesson in energetic honesty. Greed is not always loud. Sometimes it appears as entitlement, interruption, manipulation, or the hunger to be constantly noticed. The practice asks us to stop taking more than our share of space. It teaches that integrity includes what cannot be locked in a drawer. Brahmacharya teaches wise use of energy in daily life. This principle is often discussed narrowly, but its wider meaning is more useful for many people. It asks how vital force is spent. Every day, attention is traded for something. Energy is given to speech, desire, screens, worry, ambition, resentment, care, and practice. The question is whether those expenditures lead toward clarity or exhaustion. Brahmacharya invites restraint not as punishment, but as intelligent conservation. A person with scattered energy may have many interests and little depth. A person who gathers energy can become more powerful, more present, and less easily manipulated by appetite. Some traditions treat this as a sacred discipline. Others frame it as moderation. The deep insight is the same. You become shaped by what you repeatedly feed. This teaching asks the practitioner to notice what drains them and what refines them. It turns self-control into a path of freedom rather than a grim rejection of life. A parigraha challenges the restless hunger to possess more. Non-grasping may sound simple until it is applied honestly. The mind clings not only to objects. It clings to status, praise, certainty, control, old identities, and imagined futures. This grasping creates tension because every possession carries the fear of loss. Yoga does not say that a person must reject all ordinary life. It asks whether holding has become being held. That distinction is powerful. Some people can own little and still cling fiercely. Others can handle responsibility without making it their soul. A parigraha trains the practitioner to notice the moment desire becomes captivity. It is deeply relevant in a culture built on wanting. Advertising often whispers that the next thing will complete us. Yoga answers with suspicion. It asks us to test whether more has ever truly satisfied the hunger for enough. The practice is not emptiness for its own sake. It is space regained from the grip of craving. The niyamas bring discipline into the private life of character. The yamas guide how we relate outwardly. The niyamas turn the gaze toward personal discipline. They ask what happens when no one is watching. That is where character becomes real. A public image can be polished, but private habits reveal the deeper training. Cleanliness, contentment, effort, self-study, and surrender become inner commitments rather than performances. This matters because spiritual life can easily become theatre. A person may speak beautifully about wisdom while living in secret disorder. The niyamas close that gap. Some people find them fascinating because they make transformation practical. They do not depend on dramatic visions or rare experiences. They work through the repeated shaping of ordinary life. How do you begin the day? What do you feed the mind? How do you respond when discipline becomes inconvenient? These questions form the hidden workshop of yoga. The practitioner is built there, away from applause. Socha links outer cleanliness with clarity of mind. This teaching begins with purity, but it should not be reduced to mere hygiene. It points to the relationship between environment, body, and attention. A cluttered room can disturb the mind before a person realizes it. Heavy habits can dull perception. Careless consumption can leave an inner residue. Socha asks the practitioner to notice what clouds the system. The aim is not obsession with perfection. The aim is cleanliness that supports awareness. Some traditions also used physical purification practices, but the wider principle is easy to understand. What surrounds us enters us. What we repeat becomes part of our inner atmosphere. Some people take this further and wonder whether the body is constantly registering more than conscious thought admits. A space, a meal, a conversation, or a pattern of media can change how the mind feels. Socha turns that recognition into discipline. It asks us to protect clarity before confusion becomes normal. Santosha makes contentment a deliberate strength, not passive resignation. Contentment is often mistaken for giving up. In yoga, it is closer to inner sufficiency. It means the heart is not constantly blackmailed by the next condition. A person can still act, grow, learn, and improve, but they are not enslaved by the belief that peace must wait until everything changes. This is a radical teaching because craving often pretends to be motivation. It says, dissatisfaction is necessary for progress. Santosha disagrees. It suggests that clear action may actually become wiser when it is not driven by inner poverty. Some people find this difficult because modern life trains comparison from every direction. There is always another achievement to envy, another life to imagine, another reason to feel behind. Contentment interrupts that spell. It does not deny pain or ambition. It gives the mind a ground to stand on. From that ground, effort can become cleaner and less desperate. Tapas teaches that discomfort can become fuel for transformation. The word is connected with heat, and the idea is direct. Growth often requires friction. Not every discomfort is harmful. Some discomfort reveals resistance, laziness, fear, or the edge of an old identity. Tapas is the disciplined willingness to remain with useful challenge long enough for it to change us. This may mean keeping a practice when enthusiasm fades. It may mean holding steady when the mind bargains for escape. It may mean choosing what is strengthening over what is immediately pleasant. Some people are drawn to this teaching because it respects the difficulty of transformation. It does not pretend that awakening is always soft. Yet it also does not glorify pointless suffering. The heat must serve clarity. A fire can cook food, or it can burn down the house. Tapas asks for intelligent intensity. It teaches that the energy we usually spend avoiding discomfort can sometimes become the energy that liberates us. Svadhyaya turns self-study into a lifelong spiritual mirror. This practice includes study of wisdom teachings, but it also means studying oneself. The practitioner becomes interested in their own patterns without becoming self-obsessed. Why does the same fear return? Why does praise change the mood so quickly? Why does criticism feel like danger? These questions are not asked to create shame. They are asked to create knowledge. Without self-study, a person may repeat the same life under different circumstances and call it fate. Svadhyaya interrupts that repetition. Some people see it as a disciplined form of inner archaeology. Layer by layer, hidden motives and inherited beliefs are uncovered. Sacred texts can help because they give the mind a higher standard than personal preference. Daily life also becomes a text. Every reaction can be read. Every relationship can reveal a pattern. The mirror is not always flattering, but it is useful. It shows what must be understood before it can be transformed. Ishvara Pranidhana invites surrender without asking the mind to quit. Surrender is often misunderstood as passivity. In yoga, it can mean releasing the illusion that the personal ego controls everything. The practitioner still acts, chooses, studies, and practices. Yet they also learn to offer the fruits of effort to something greater than personal will. That greater reality may be understood theistically, philosophically, or as a humbling devotion to truth itself. The point is not intellectual defeat. The point is freedom from compulsive self-importance. Some people find this teaching especially powerful because it addresses the exhaustion of constant control. The mind wants guarantees. Life refuses to provide them. Surrender becomes a way to remain devoted without becoming rigid. It allows effort and humility to coexist. This is not resignation. It is a disciplined release of the demand that reality obey the ego. When practiced sincerely, it can soften anxiety while keeping responsibility intact. Ancient yoga viewed the body as a teacher of attention. The body is not merely something the mind drags through the day. It is constantly giving information. Tension reveals resistance. Fatigue reveals limits. Breath reveals emotional weather. Pain may reveal injury, but it may also reveal neglected imbalance. Yoga trains a person to listen before reacting. This listening changes the body from an object into a teacher. Some people find this idea fascinating because it challenges the modern habit of living from the neck upward. We often treat the body like equipment. Ancient practice treated it as a field of intelligence. A posture could teach patience. A breath could expose fear. A tremor could reveal effort that had become excessive. This does not mean every sensation has a mystical message. It means the body participates in awareness more deeply than we usually admit. When attention becomes refined, the body stops being background noise. It becomes a living classroom. Postures can train patience more quietly than speeches ever could. A lecture about patience may be forgotten in minutes. A difficult posture can reveal the truth immediately. The body reaches an edge, and the mind begins to negotiate. It wants to quit, force, compare, or rush toward the end. This is where the training begins. The practitioner learns to stay without aggression and adjust without collapse. That balance is subtle. Too much force becomes violence. Too much softness becomes avoidance. A posture teaches through direct feedback. It does not care about excuses. Some people appreciate this because the body cuts through self-deception. You may believe you are calm until a simple shape exposes your impatience. You may believe you are disciplined until the muscles begin to shake. The lesson is not humiliation. It is honesty. Over time, these small encounters can change how a person meets difficulty elsewhere. Patience becomes less like an idea and more like a practiced physical memory. Balance poses expose the mind's reaction to uncertainty. Standing on one foot seems simple until the body starts to sway. Then the inner commentary appears. Some people tense immediately. Some laugh. Some become angry. Some try to dominate the wobble as if failure would reveal a personal flaw. Balance practice is fascinating because it makes instability visible. The practitioner cannot pretend that control is absolute. The body is constantly making tiny corrections, and attention must remain present. Looking too far ahead can disturb the pose. Reacting too sharply can make the fall more likely. The lesson is immediate and strangely philosophical. Life is also balanced through continuous adjustment, not permanent certainty. Some teachers use these postures to show that steadiness is not stiffness. It is responsiveness. That idea can change the way a person thinks about strength. The balanced person is not the one who never moves. It is the one who can meet movement without losing the center. Forward folds often teach humility through simple physical surrender. These shapes bring the body toward itself. The head lowers. The back lengthens. The gaze turns away from the outer room. There is nothing heroic to display. For many people, the first lesson is limitation. Tightness appears quickly, and ambition becomes useless. Force may only create strain. Progress requires patience, breathing, and a willingness to soften without collapsing. That makes the posture a surprisingly direct teacher. It shows that not every path opens through conquest. Some doors open when the nervous system feels safe enough to release. Some people interpret forward folds as symbolic gestures of bowing. Others see them as practical ways to calm and lengthen the body. Either reading can be useful. The deeper insight is that humility is not self-hatred. It is accurate relationship with reality. The body tells the truth about where it is today. The practitioner learns to meet that truth without drama. Back bends can reveal how courage feels inside the chest. These postures ask the front body to open, and that can feel more vulnerable than expected. The chest lifts. The throat may feel exposed. The back body has to support what the front body releases. It is not simply a dramatic shape. It is a negotiation with fear, trust, and strength. Many people discover that their body guards the heart area without conscious permission. Backbending can bring awareness to that guardedness. This does not mean forcing an emotional breakthrough. It means moving carefully into a form that requires alertness and bravery. Some people find these postures energizing because they reverse the collapsed pattern of fatigue or protection. Others find them confronting. Both responses are informative. The fascinating part is how physical direction can influence inner state. Lift the chest with steadiness, and the mind may experience a hint of courage. The body rehearses a possibility before belief fully catches up. Twists remind practitioners that change can begin from the center. A twist does not begin by throwing the body around from the outside. It is most effective when it grows from the core of the torso, guided by breath and awareness. That makes it a useful lesson in transformation. Real change often starts at the center of a person's habits, not at the surface of appearance. Physically, twists can bring attention to the spine, ribs, abdomen, and the relationship between grounding and rotation. Mentally, they teach that movement and stability can coexist. The base must remain steady while the body turns. Some people enjoy the almost symbolic nature of this. You remain rooted, yet you see from a different angle. You do not abandon your foundation, yet your perspective shifts. That is a practical form of wisdom. Many conflicts in life harden because people cannot rotate inwardly. Twisting teaches the body another possibility. Stay grounded, then turn with intelligence. Inversions challenge habitual views by changing the body's orientation. Turning upside down is not only a physical trick, it can unsettle the usual relationship between body, space, and confidence. The floor becomes something to press through with the hands, forearms, or head. The legs rise into unfamiliar territory. The mind must process balance from a new angle. This is why inversions can be so revealing. They bring excitement, fear, focus, and humility into the same moment. Some practitioners use supported versions to explore the effect safely. The point is not spectacle. The point is perspective. When the body changes orientation, assumptions are disturbed. What felt natural a moment ago may suddenly feel strange. Some people see this as a living metaphor for spiritual practice. Wisdom often begins when the familiar arrangement is interrupted. Inversions teach that the world can be experienced differently without the world itself changing. Sometimes, the shift is not in the room. It is in the way we meet it. Savasana teaches the rare skill of conscious rest. To an observer, this posture may look like nothing is happening. That is exactly why it is so powerful. The practitioner lies down and releases deliberate effort while remaining aware. In a culture that praises constant doing, this can be unexpectedly difficult. The body may be still, but the mind continues planning, reviewing, judging, and reaching. Savasana asks for a different skill. It asks the person to let the practice settle without grabbing for another task. Some people consider it one of the most advanced postures because there is nowhere to hide behind effort. You cannot impress anyone by resting well. You can only experience whether you are able to release. The name is often connected with the corpse pose, which may sound stark, but the teaching is profound. It rehearses the letting go of control. It reminds us that rest is not failure. Sometimes it is the final integration of the work. Yogic breathing can slow the body's stress response. This is where ancient practice meets everyday experience in a remarkable way. When stress rises, the breath often becomes fast, shallow, or uneven. The body prepares for danger, even when the threat is only a thought, a memory, or a message on a screen. Yogic breathing gives the practitioner a way to intervene. By slowing and shaping the breath, a person may signal that the system does not need to remain on high alert. That does not make every problem disappear. It changes the inner conditions under which the problem is faced. Some people are fascinated by this because it suggests that wisdom can begin with physiology. You may not be able to argue yourself into calm. You may be able to breathe yourself toward it. Ancient practitioners did not use modern stress language, but they clearly understood the link between breath and state. The method is simple. The implications are enormous. Alternate nostril breathing trains steadiness through a simple rhythm. This practice looks almost too simple to matter, which is part of its fascination. The practitioner closes one nostril, inhales through the other, then changes sides in a measured pattern. Nothing dramatic is happening from the outside. Yet inside, attention is being asked to follow timing, touch, airflow, and sequence without drifting away. The method has long been used to balance the system before meditation, because it gives the mind a task that is clear but not noisy. Some people see it as a symbolic balancing of inner forces. Others understand it as a practical way to slow down and organize awareness. Either way, it works like a small ritual of order. The right side and left side are not fighting for dominance. They are being brought into relationship. In a world that rewards speed, this practice says something surprisingly radical. Balance may begin by doing one quiet thing with complete care. Ujjayi breath uses sound to anchor wandering attention. The sound is soft, controlled, and made by narrowing the throat slightly during breathing. It gives the practitioner something immediate to hear from within the body. This matters because attention is easily stolen by thought, memory, and the room around us. When the breath has a steady sound, the mind can follow it like a guide. The technique is common in flowing yoga styles, yet its deeper value is not performance. It creates an intimate feedback loop. If the sound becomes strained, the body may be pushing too hard. If it disappears completely, attention may have wandered. Some people find it fascinating because the practitioner becomes both musician and listener. The breath is not silent background anymore. It becomes a metronome for movement and presence. In older terms, it refines energy. In ordinary language, it teaches self-regulation through sound. The lesson is simple. What you can hear, you can return to. Long exhalations can signal safety to the nervous system. A frightened body often inhales quickly and holds itself ready for action. A body that feels safe can usually release more fully. Yogic practice noticed this long before modern language explained it in technical terms. Extending the exhale gives the system a message that the emergency may be passing. The effect can be subtle, but it is powerful because it works beneath argument. You might not convince the mind that everything is fine, yet the breath can begin to change the state from below. This is why many calming practices quietly emphasize the out-breath. It is the part of breathing that lets go. Some people wonder whether ancient practitioners discovered a hidden control panel inside ordinary respiration. That idea may sound dramatic, but the experience is familiar. Sigh deeply after stress, and something softens. Yoga takes that natural release and turns it into a trained pathway. The body learns safety through repetition. Bandhas are subtle locks used to direct internal energy. These practices involve controlled engagement in specific areas of the body, often linked with the pelvic floor, abdomen, and throat. From the outside, they may not look like much. From the inside, they can feel like valves being adjusted within the system. Traditional teachings describe them as ways to guide energy, support breath retention, and prepare deeper practice. The fascination is that yoga did not only study large visible movement. It studied tiny internal actions that most people never notice. A slight lift, a careful containment, or a refined muscular seal could become part of spiritual training. Some people find this almost secretive because the real work is hidden from view. It cannot be admired easily. It must be felt. Whether understood energetically or anatomically, the principle is striking. The body contains doors that are not opened by force. They are found through precision, patience, and attention fine enough to sense what is usually ignored. Mudras use hand gestures to focus intention and awareness. The hands are deeply connected to expression, action, and communication. Yoga uses that fact in a deliberate way. A mudra places the fingers or body into a meaningful shape, then holds that form as part of practice. To an outsider, it may look symbolic. To the practitioner, it can change attention immediately. The body receives a signal that something intentional is happening. Some mudras are used in meditation. Others appear in ritual, chanting, or breathing practice. Their power is not only in the gesture itself, but in the relationship between gesture and mind. Think of how a clenched fist feels different from an open palm. A small physical form can change inner attitude. Some people see mudras as energetic circuits. Others view them as embodied reminders. Either way, they show how precise yoga can be. Even the fingers become part of awakening. Nothing in the human form is considered too small to matter. Yoga Nidra guides the mind into deeply conscious relaxation. This practice is often described as yogic sleep, but that phrase can be misleading. The aim is not ordinary unconscious sleep. The practitioner lies down and follows a guided sequence that keeps awareness present while the body moves toward deep rest. This creates a strange and fascinating state. The body may feel heavy, yet the mind remains gently awake. Images, memories, sensations, and impressions may pass through without needing to be chased. Some people are drawn to Yoga Nidra because it feels like entering a hidden borderland between waking and dreaming. Traditional approaches often use intention, body awareness, breath, and spacious observation to guide the process. The result can be restorative, but the deeper point is more interesting. It trains a person to remain aware as ordinary control loosens. That is why it has captured modern attention. It suggests that rest does not have to mean absence. Rest can become a doorway into self-knowledge. Some traditions call sleep a laboratory for self-knowledge. Most people treat sleep as a blank gap between days. Yogic and contemplative traditions have sometimes treated it as a mysterious field worth investigating. What happens to identity when the waking world disappears? What remains when the body is still and the ordinary personality is offline? Dreaming shows that the mind can create entire experiences without external input. Deep sleep raises an even stranger question, because awareness seems absent, yet we later say we slept well. Some people find this deeply intriguing because it suggests that consciousness may have layers we barely understand. Practices connected with Yoga Nidra, dream awareness, and meditation near sleep all explore this threshold. The point is not to turn rest into work. It is to notice that human experience does not end when the eyes close. Nightly, every person passes through states that philosophers have debated for centuries. Yoga asks us not to ignore that daily mystery. The Bhagavad Gita presents yoga on a battlefield of duty. This setting matters because it refuses to make spirituality too comfortable. The teaching appears at a moment of crisis, not during an easy retreat. Arjuna faces a terrible responsibility, and his whole identity begins to shake. In that tension, yoga becomes a response to moral confusion. It is not presented as a way to avoid difficult choices. It is presented as a way to meet them with a clearer mind. Some people are surprised by this because they imagine ancient wisdom as removed from conflict. The Gita says something different. The most important spiritual questions may arise when life becomes unbearable. What should I do? Who am I when every option hurts? How do I act without being owned by fear? This makes the text feel intensely human. The battlefield becomes a stage for the inner struggle every person knows. Duty, grief, courage, and surrender all stand there together. Arjuna's crisis makes yoga practical rather than distant or theoretical. His breakdown is not a minor detail before the teaching begins. It is the doorway into the teaching. He is capable, trained, and respected, yet he becomes overwhelmed when faced with the consequences of action. That makes him relatable across centuries. He is not weak because he hesitates. He is human because he sees the weight of what must be done. Yoga enters at the exact point where ordinary confidence fails. This is why the story remains so powerful. It does not begin with a perfect student sitting peacefully under ideal conditions. It begins with a person who cannot move forward. Some people see Arjuna as the part of every mind that freezes when values collide. The teaching he receives is practical because it speaks to that paralysis. It asks for discernment rather than panic. It asks for action without inner collapse. The crisis proves that yoga belongs in real life, not only in sacred spaces. Krishna teaches action without clinging to the fruits of action. This idea can sound simple until you try to live it. Most people act while secretly bargaining with the future. They want praise, certainty, success, recognition, or emotional repayment. Krishna points toward another way. Do the right thing with full commitment, but do not tie your inner freedom to the outcome. This is not indifference. It may actually require more discipline than ordinary ambition. The work must still be done well. The motive must be purified. The ego must stop treating every result as a verdict on its worth. Some people find this teaching almost impossible, yet deeply liberating. It attacks anxiety at its root, because much suffering comes from trying to control what cannot be fully controlled. The action is yours. The result belongs to a wider field of causes. That insight can change your life. It turns duty into practice and frees effort from the panic of possession. Detachment in yoga means involvement without inner enslavement. This is a crucial distinction. Detachment does not mean coldness, laziness, or lack of love. It means participating in life without being chained to every outcome, opinion, and emotional wave. A detached person can care deeply. They simply do not make their peace dependent on controlling everything. That is why the teaching is more radical than it first appears. It asks for presence without possession. It asks for commitment without addiction. In relationships, work, and spiritual practice, this changes the quality of action. The person becomes less reactive because they are not constantly defending a fragile identity. Some people misunderstand detachment as escape. Yoga presents it as freedom inside engagement. You can hold something carefully without gripping it. You can serve without demanding that life repay you on your terms. This is difficult because the ego confuses clinging with love. Detachment teaches that love may actually become cleaner when fear loosens its hand. Desire is studied as a force that can educate or bind. Yoga does not treat desire as a simple enemy. It treats it as powerful material that must be understood. Desire can point toward genuine need, creativity, growth, or devotion. It can also become compulsion, fantasy, and dissatisfaction without end. The difference depends on awareness. A person who never studies desire may spend a lifetime obeying it and still feel mysteriously empty. The ancient view is fascinating because it does not merely moralize. It investigates. Where does the wanting begin? What promise does it make? What happens after it is satisfied? Does it lead to clarity, or does it create another chain? Some people see this as one of yoga's sharpest psychological tools. Desire becomes a teacher when examined honestly. It shows what we worship, what we fear, and what we think will complete us. The problem is not that energy rises. The problem begins when we surrender our intelligence to it. The ego is treated as useful, but not ultimate. Yoga does not require a person to pretend they have no ordinary identity. The practical self has a role. It remembers names, keeps appointments, protects the body, and helps us move through society. The trouble begins when this functional identity claims to be the deepest truth. Then every insult becomes a wound to existence. Every success becomes a false throw. Every fear becomes a command. The yogic approach is subtle. It does not simply destroy the ego. It puts it in proper proportion. Some people find this liberating because it avoids two extremes. You do not need to inflate the ego into a god. and you do not need to hate it as an enemy. You need to see it clearly. It is a tool, not the master. When the tool rules the house, life becomes defensive and restless. When awareness leads, the personality can serve something wiser than self-preservation. Yogic wisdom distinguishes the witness from the passing thought. A thought appears, stays for a moment, then changes or vanishes. Yet something knows that it appeared. This simple observation is one of the most powerful in the tradition. The practitioner learns to notice the difference between awareness and the content moving through awareness. Anger can be known. Fear can be known. Planning can be known. Even the sense of self can be observed. That means the observer cannot be exactly the same as each passing movement. Some people find this idea mind-bending because it opens a gap where freedom can enter. Instead of saying, "I am angry," the practitioner may notice anger is present. That shift is small in language and enormous in experience. It weakens identification. It gives the mind room to choose. The witness is not a cold spectator. It is the stable knowing in which experience appears. Yoga trains us to recognize that space before thought claims ownership. Samskara describes deep impressions that shape repeated behavior. This concept explains why people repeat patterns even when they know better. Every action, reaction, and strong experience can leave an impression. Over time, those impressions influence what feels natural, tempting, frightening, or familiar. A person may think they are making a free choice, yet an old groove may be guiding the movement before conscious thought arrives. This is a profound idea because it treats habit as more than behavior. Habit becomes memory stored in the deeper structure of the mind. Some people compare samskaras to hidden scripts. They shape attraction, avoidance, expectation, and self-image. Yoga does not present this as hopeless. It presents it as workable. If impressions can be formed, they can also be weakened or redirected. The first step is seeing them. Without that seeing, a person may call a pattern destiny. With practice, the old groove is no longer the only path available. Practice weakens old patterns by creating wiser inner grooves. Change is often imagined as a single breakthrough, but yoga trusts repetition. Each time a person returns to the breath, restrains a harmful impulse, tells the truth, or sips through restlessness, something is being retrained. The old pathway is not fed in the same way. A new response begins to form. This is why practice matters even when it feels ordinary. Nothing spectacular may happen on a given day, yet the deeper pattern is being altered. Some people find this encouraging because it makes transformation practical. You do not have to defeat the whole past at once. You create a new tendency through repeated intelligent action. The mind learns by what it rehearses. That can be frightening when the rehearsal is fear, resentment, or distraction. It can also be hopeful. Yoga says the inner landscape is not fixed stone. It is more like a path made visible by walking it again and again. Vairagya means freedom from being pulled by every craving. This teaching does not ask a person to become lifeless. It asks them to stop being dragged around by the endless hook of wanting. Craving is different from clear desire. It has a desperate quality. It says peace is impossible until the object is obtained, praised, tasted, controlled, or secured. Then, once it is satisfied, another demand quickly appears. Vairagya is the discipline of seeing through that cycle. The practitioner does not need to hate the world. They need to stop being hypnotized by it. Some people are fascinated by this because it feels like an antidote to modern manipulation. Much of daily life is designed to provoke craving. Screens, products, status games, and comparison all target attention. Yoga asks whether the inner hand can release the rope. The result is not emptiness. It is independence. When craving loses authority, the person can choose from clarity rather than hunger. Abhyasa means steady practice that continues through changing moods. This principle is one of the least glamorous and most important parts of yoga. It means returning again and again, whether the mind feels inspired or dull. Many people begin with enthusiasm, then stop when the emotional weather changes. Abhyasa teaches a deeper loyalty. Practice is not dependent on mood. It becomes a chosen direction. This can apply to meditation, breath, ethics, study, or any discipline that trains the self towards steadiness. Some people find it almost countercultural because modern life loves novelty. Yoga respects continuity. It says that depth appears when we stop needing every session to feel special. A single day may seem small, but repeated days become a life. The fascinating part is that the practitioner is changed partly by showing up. The act of returning builds trust with oneself. It proves that attention can be guided by commitment rather than appetite, boredom, or passing emotion. The mind is trained through repetition rather than sudden perfection. This teaching brings relief because it removes the fantasy that wisdom should arrive fully formed. The mind has been conditioned for years by habits, fears, stories, and reactions. It will not become steady simply because we admire steadiness. Yoga understands training. A scattered mind is brought back many times. A harsh impulse is softened many times. A restless body is seated many times. Each return matters. Some people overlook this because they want a dramatic sign of progress. The tradition is more patient. It knows that transformation often looks ordinary while it is happening. A musician practices scales. A craftsperson repeats a movement. A yogi repeats attention. The inner art is no different. Repetition is not failure. It is the method. Every return teaches the mind that it does not have to remain where habit placed it. Over time, what once required effort may become a natural way of being. True progress in yoga is measured by reduced reactivity. This is a powerful correction to the obsession with visible achievement. The deepest question is not whether a person can perform an advanced pose or speak impressive spiritual language. The question is, what happens when life provokes them? Do they explode as quickly as before? Do they cling as tightly? Do they believe every fear? Do they recover with more honesty? Yoga measures progress in the space between stimulus and response. That space may be invisible to others, but it changes everything. Some people find this standard humbling because it cannot be faked for long. The body may become flexible while the ego remains rigid. The vocabulary may become refined while the temper remains unchanged. True practice shows itself when old triggers lose some of their command. A difficult moment becomes the examination room. If awareness appears before reaction takes over, the practice has begun to enter the bloodstream of daily life. Many yoga lineages were preserved through direct teacher-student transmission. Before mass publishing and online instruction, teachings often moved through living relationship. A student learned by watching, listening, repeating, and being corrected. This created a different kind of knowledge from information gathered alone. The teacher could see where the student was forcing, hiding, misunderstanding, or becoming proud. The student received not only techniques, but also timing, emphasis, and the atmosphere of practice. Some people are fascinated by this because it suggests that yoga was never only a set of instructions. It was a living current carried through human presence. Of course, this relationship required trust and discernment, because authority can be misused. Yet, at its best, transmission protected subtle knowledge from becoming shallow. A book can describe a practice. A teacher can notice whether the practice is changing the person. That difference matters. Yoga was preserved not merely by memory, but by embodied example passed from one life to another. Gurus traditionally offered guidance that books could not provide. A text can teach principles, but it cannot always diagnose the reader. A guru, in the traditional sense, was meant to help remove confusion. The role could include instruction, discipline, encouragement, correction, and spiritual orientation. The fascination is that the guidance was personal. Two students might receive different advice because their obstacles were different. One needed more effort. Another needed humility. Another needed steadiness before deeper practice. This is why traditional paths valued direct contact with someone who had walked further. Some people romanticize the guru, while others reject the idea entirely because of abuses in modern history. The wiser view is more careful. The rule is powerful, and power requires accountability. At its best, the guru does not create dependence. The teacher points the student back toward reality. A book can be profound, but it cannot look into your evasions. Living guidance can be uncomfortable because it sees what self-image prefers to hide. Ashrams created communities organized around practice and simplicity. An ashram was not meant to be an ordinary holiday setting with spiritual decoration. At its best, it was a place where daily life was arranged around discipline, study, service, and contemplation. The structure mattered because environment shapes attention. When everyone around you is practicing, waking, eating, working, and learning within a shared rhythm, the mind receives different signals from usual life. The culture itself becomes part of the training. Some people find this compelling because it challenges the modern idea that spirituality is only private preference. In an ashram, practice becomes communal. The schedule teaches. The chores teach. The silence between activities teaches. Even irritation with other people can become part of the path. Simplicity is not used merely to look holy. It removes some of the noise that keeps the mind scattered. A well-ordered community can reveal what a person becomes when life is not constantly built around distraction. Pilgrimage helped yogis treat geography as spiritual discipline. Travel in this context was not tourism. A sacred journey asked the body, mind, and intention to move toward a place charged with meaning. The road itself became part of the practice. Fatigue, uncertainty, weather, hunger, and dependence on others could humble the traveler. Arrival mattered, but the transformation often happened along the way. Some people are fascinated by pilgrimage because it turns landscape into a teacher. A river, mountain, temple, or shrine becomes more than a location. It becomes a focus for memory, devotion, and inner testing. The practitioner leaves familiar patterns behind and enters a wider story. In modern terms, we might say the journey disrupts identity. You are no longer only the person at home with the usual roles and comforts. You become a seeker in motion. Yoga understands that place can affect consciousness. Where we go can change what we are able to see. The Himalayan imagination shaped yoga's reputation for solitude and depth. Few landscapes have influenced spiritual imagination as strongly as those high mountains. They became associated with renunciation, meditation, austerity, and the search for wisdom away from ordinary society. Whether every story is historically exact is less important than the power of the image. A seeker walking into vast, cold heights suggests a movement away from distraction and toward ultimate questions. Some people are drawn to this because it feels like the opposite of modern noise. The mountain hermit represents a human being who has decided that inner truth is worth more than comfort. That idea can be romanticized, but it also carries a serious lesson. Solitude removes many excuses. Without constant company, entertainment, and social performance, the practitioner must face the mind directly. The Himalayas became a symbol of that confrontation. They stand for the possibility that depth may require distance from the habits that keep the self asleep. Indian philosophy gave yoga conversations with Buddhism and Jainism. Yoga did not develop in isolation. It grew in a rich world of debate, practice, and spiritual experimentation. Buddhism examined suffering, impermanence, and the nature of self. Jain traditions emphasized discipline, non-harm, and liberation from karmic bondage. Yoga shared questions with these paths while developing its own answers. This makes the tradition more fascinating because it was part of a larger civilizational conversation about consciousness and freedom. Practitioners and thinkers argued over what the self is, how bondage happens, and what liberation requires. Some people imagine ancient wisdom as a single, unified voice. The reality is more exciting. It was a living debate. Different paths sharpened one another. Agreement was not always required for influence to happen. Yoga absorbed, resisted, refined, and clarified itself through encounter. That wider context helps explain its depth. It was not a random set of techniques. It was shaped in a culture obsessed with the highest possibilities of human transformation. The Samkhya system influenced yoga's view of nature and consciousness. Samkhya offered a bold distinction between pure awareness and the changing field of nature. This distinction helped yoga explain why humans feel bound. Awareness becomes entangled with the movements of mind, body, sensation, and personality. It mistakes the changing for the self. From that confusion, suffering begins. The system is intellectually powerful because it gives the practitioner a way to analyze experience with unusual clarity. What is observing and what is being observed? What changes and what knows change? Some people find this almost like a metaphysical code behind yoga practice. The physical world, mental activity, and subtle patterns all belong to nature. The seer is different. Whether one accepts the philosophy literally or not, the practical effect is striking. It teaches distance from inner turbulence. The practitioner learns to stop calling every movement I. That shift is central to freedom. Samkhya gave yoga a framework for understanding why seeing clearly can liberate. Tantra expanded yoga by honoring energy, embodiment, and transformation. Tantra is often misunderstood because modern culture focuses on fragments and rumors. In a broader historical sense, it introduced powerful ways of working with mantra, ritual, visualization, subtle anatomy, and sacred embodiment. Instead of treating the world only as something to escape, tantric approaches often explored how ordinary forces could be transformed through disciplined awareness. The body, senses, and energy were not automatically rejected. They could become vehicles for practice when handled with maturity and guidance. Some people find this thrilling because it challenges the split between spiritual and physical life. It says the raw material of human existence may contain hidden pathways to awakening. That idea can be easily distorted, which is why tradition placed strong emphasis on preparation and instruction. The deeper point is not indulgence. It is transformation. Tantra asks whether the forces that usually bind a person can be turned, refined, and used to reveal something beyond the ordinary self. Nath yogis helped shape later physical yoga traditions. The Nath tradition is one of the most intriguing streams in yoga history. Associated with powerful adepts and legendary figures, it helped develop practices that treated the body as a vessel for deep transformation. These yogis were often linked with hatha methods, breath discipline, subtle energy, and unusual forms of renunciation. Some stories around them sound almost supernatural, with claims of extraordinary powers and long lives. A careful listener does not need to accept every legend literally to recognize the impact. The stories reveal how strongly these practitioners were associated with mastery over ordinary limits. What matters historically is that they contributed to a style of yoga where the body was trained with intensity and purpose. Physical practice was not just health maintenance. It was part of a larger quest for liberation. The Nath influence helps explain why later yoga could become so embodied. They pushed the idea that the human form itself could be transformed into a path. Medieval texts describe techniques that modern studios rarely mention. Many people would be surprised by what appears in older yoga manuals. Alongside postures and breath practices, there are discussions of cleansing methods, energetic seals, internal sounds, visualizations, dietary rules, and intense disciplines that do not fit easily into a modern D-class format. Some techniques are symbolic. Some are practical. Some are clearly meant for serious practitioners under guidance. This hidden variety shows how selective modern yoga often is. A studio may present a clean, simplified version, while the historical tradition contains stranger and more demanding material. Some people are fascinated by this because it feels like discovering a forgotten wing of a familiar building. The public image is only the front room. Behind it are chambers filled with experiments in consciousness, body control, and spiritual ambition. Not everything old should be copied casually. Yet these texts remind us that yoga was once far more than wellness. It was a serious exploration of human possibility. The Hatha Yoga Pradipika became a landmark manual of practice. This text matters because it gathers a world of physical and energetic discipline into a clear traditional framework. It does not present yoga as casual stretching or lifestyle decoration. It describes a serious path involving posture, breath, seals, inner sound, and the training of subtle forces. What makes it so captivating is its confidence. The body is not treated as spiritually useless. It is treated as something that can be prepared, refined, and transformed. Some people read it and feel they have found an older, stranger blueprint behind the modern studio world. The language can be intense, and certain methods were never meant to be copied without guidance. Yet the larger message is unmistakable. Human potential was believed to be far greater than ordinary habit suggests. The practitioner was not merely trying to feel better after a long day. They were entering a disciplined experiment in awakening, with the body as the central instrument. The Yoga Samhita presented yoga as a sevenfold discipline. This manual offers a strikingly organized vision of practice. Instead of reducing yoga to one method, it describes a complete training that includes purification, strength, steadiness, calmness, lightness, direct perception, and deep absorption. That structure feels almost like a progressive curriculum for transforming the human being. It begins with preparation and moves towards subtler states, which tells us something important. The tradition did not expect advanced insight to appear without groundwork. A vessel had to be cleaned before it could hold something powerful. Some people find this fascinating because it sounds like an ancient system of inner engineering. The practitioner is not simply encouraged to believe. They are trained through stages. Each stage changes the conditions for the next one. The body, breath, senses, and mind are gradually brought under wiser order. The result is a vision of yoga as disciplined construction, where liberation is approached through method rather than wishful thinking. The Shiva Samhita blended philosophy with subtle body practice. This text is intriguing because it refuses to keep metaphysics and technique in separate rooms. It speaks about the self, reality, liberation, the body, subtle channels, and meditative discipline as parts of one larger picture. The practitioner is invited to understand life at different levels at once. There is ordinary embodiment, but there is also hidden structure. There is personal effort, but there is also a wider spiritual aim. Some people are drawn to this because it feels like a manual from a more enchanted way of seeing the human being. The body is not just flesh, and the mind is not just private chatter. They are placed within a sacred architecture. Whether every detail is read literally or symbolically, the impact is powerful. The text suggests that transformation requires both understanding and practice. Philosophy without discipline stays abstract. Technique without vision becomes shallow. Yoga asks both to work together. Mysore became a major center for modern postural yoga. This South Indian city became deeply important in the story of yoga's modern global form. Under royal patronage, teaching, experimentation, and physical culture came together in ways that helped shape what many people now recognize as posture-based practice. The setting matters because it reminds us that modern yoga did not simply fall unchanged from remote antiquity. It was also shaped by institutions, teachers, students, health movements, and changing ideas about the body. Some people find this surprising because they imagine every modern sequence as timeless. The reality is more interesting. Old traditions met new conditions, and something influential emerged. Mysore became a workshop where inherited practice was adapted for a changing world. The result traveled far beyond India. When someone steps onto a mat in London, New York, Sydney, or Nairobi, they may unknowingly be connected to innovations refined in that city. Modern yoga has geography hidden inside it. Krishnamacharya influenced several of the 20th century's famous yoga styles. Few modern teachers have had such a wide indirect reach. Students connected to him helped shape approaches that later became known across the world. What makes his legacy fascinating is its variety. One student emphasized precision. Another carried flowing sequences forward. Another focused on adapting practice to the individual. This suggests that Krishnamacharya was not simply handing out a single fixed product. He was teaching principles that could take different forms depending on the practitioner. Some people see him as a bridge between older learning and modern global yoga. His life sits at a crossroads of Sanskrit scholarship, physical discipline, devotional practice, and changing public interest in health. That mix gave later yoga a powerful foundation. The modern viewer may not know his name, yet many familiar practices carry his influence. His story reminds us that a tradition can change dramatically while still being shaped by a few decisive teachers. Indra Devi helped introduce yoga to international audiences. Her life reads almost like a film because she moved through cultures at a time when yoga was still unfamiliar to many Western people. She studied in India, taught in China, and later became influential in Hollywood and beyond. That journey matters because it shows how yoga entered global imagination through personality, timing, and social networks, as much as philosophy. She helped make the practice approachable to people who might never have encountered Sanskrit texts or monastic discipline. Some people find her story fascinating because she became a doorway between worlds. A practice rooted in Indian traditions began appearing among actors, artists, and health seekers in new settings. Of course, translation always changes what it carries. Something is gained in accessibility, and something can be lost in depth. Her legacy sits inside that tension. She helped yoga travel, and the world that received it began reshaping what yoga seemed to be. B.K.'s Iyengar made alignment a global language of practice. His approach gave extraordinary attention to precision, A foot was not just a foot. A knee, shoulder, spine, or hand position could change the whole experience of a posture. This made practice detailed, disciplined, and surprisingly investigative. Students learned to observe the body with almost forensic care. Props were used not as shortcuts, but as tools for intelligence. A block, belt, wall, or chair could reveal an action that the body could not yet find alone. Some people find this captivating because it turns posture into a study of consciousness through structure. The visible shape becomes less important than the quality of awareness inside it. His teaching also made yoga accessible to people with different capacities, because support could open doors that force would keep closed. In a global culture that often rewards speed and display, this method says something different. Pay attention. Refine the details. Let precision become a path. Pattabhi Jois popularized flowing sequences through Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. This style became famous for its set series, strong rhythm, and linking of breath with movement. The practice can feel like entering a moving discipline where each posture belongs to a larger chain. Nothing is random. The body learns the sequence through repetition, and the mind is asked to remain focused as effort builds. Some people find this almost ritualistic because the same pattern is entered again and again, like returning to a known path through difficult terrain. The intensity can reveal ambition, resistance, impatience, and devotion. It is not merely about strength. It is about whether attention can stay steady under heat. The global spread of this method helped shape the image of yoga as dynamic, athletic, and disciplined. Yet underneath the physical challenge lies an older principle. Repeated practice can uncover the practitioner. The sequence does not just train the body. It exposes the mind that moves through it. TKV Desikachar emphasized adapting yoga to the individual. His teaching brought forward a deeply humane principle. Practice should fit the person, not the other way around. This sounds obvious, yet it changes everything. A young athlete, an older beginner, a grieving person, and someone recovering from illness may need very different approaches. The breath, posture, pace, and focus can all be adjusted. This protects yoga from becoming a rigid performance system. It returns attention to purpose. What is this practice meant to serve in this life, at this moment, for this person? Some people find this approach quietly revolutionary, because it challenges the idea that there is one perfect form for everyone. It respects context. It also requires intelligence from the teacher and honesty from the student. The goal is not to copy an external ideal. The goal is appropriate transformation. In this view, yoga becomes a living conversation with the practitioner's real condition. Swami Sivananda spread yoga through service, devotion, and practical teaching. His influence was wide because he presented spiritual life in a form that many ordinary people could understand and apply. He wrote extensively, trained students, founded institutions, and encouraged a synthesis of practice. The emphasis was not narrow. It included ethics, prayer, study, meditation, service, and physical discipline. This broadness helped many people approach yoga as a complete way of living rather than a specialized technique. Some people find his message appealing because it feels both sincere and practical. Serve, love, give, purify, meditate, realize. The language is direct, and the aim is high. His students went on to carry teachings around the world, which amplified his reach far beyond one location. What stands out is the union of inner practice with outward kindness. Wisdom was not meant to remain private. The practitioner was expected to become useful. In that sense, service became evidence that spiritual discipline had touched the heart. Paramahansa Yogananda carried yogic ideas into Western spiritual culture. His arrival in the West helped introduce many people to Indian spirituality through a language they could recognize. He spoke about meditation, self-realization, divine experience, and the inner science of the soul. His public teaching made yoga seem less foreign to audiences who were curious about direct spiritual experience beyond formal religious boundaries. Some people are especially drawn to his story because it sits at the meeting point of mysticism and modernity. He used lectures, organizations, writing, and personal charisma to carry teachings across cultural distance. His famous life story became a gateway for countless seekers. It suggested that yoga was not only a set of physical practices, it was a path toward knowing consciousness itself. Whether approached devotionally or philosophically, his message helped reshape the Western imagination. He made the inner life sound vast, disciplined, and accessible. For many, he turned India's contemplative heritage into a personal invitation. Vivekananda presented yoga as a universal science of the mind. When he addressed Western audiences, he did something bold. He framed Indian spiritual practice in terms that sounded rational, disciplined, and universal. He did not present yoga as a local curiosity. He presented it as a systematic exploration of human consciousness. This mattered enormously. It allowed listeners to consider meditation, self-mastery, and inner freedom without feeling they had to enter a completely foreign world. Some people see his work as a major turning point in the global understanding of yoga. He emphasized Raja Yoga and the training of the mind, which helped shift attention toward direct experience rather than belief alone. The word science in this context does not mean laboratory biology. It means method, observation, and repeatable inner discipline. That framing was powerful. It suggested that the human mind could be studied from within. Yoga became not merely religion, but a practical investigation into awareness itself. Modern studios often separate practices that ancient systems kept connected. A person may attend one class for movement, another for breathing, another for meditation, and never hear about ethics, devotion, philosophy, or self-inquiry. This separation can make yoga easier to access, but it can also narrow the tradition. Older systems often connected conduct, body, breath, senses, attention, and liberation within one path. Each part supported the others. When those parts are split apart, the practice may become useful but incomplete. Some people find this important because it explains why modern yoga can feel both powerful and strangely shallow. A posture class may improve strength and calm the mind, yet the larger question remains: what is the practice for? Health is valuable, but yoga historically asked for more than comfort. It asked for freedom from ignorance and bondage. The modern studio is not wrong for adapting. It simply presents one doorway. The deeper house still exists behind it, waiting to be remembered. Yoga's global popularity has created both access and misunderstanding. Millions of people can now encounter practices that were once difficult to find outside particular communities. That access has helped many discover breathing, movement, meditation, and a more reflective relationship with the body. Yet popularity always changes what it spreads. Yoga can become a brand, a fashion, a fitness identity, or a marketable mood. Some people are fascinated by this paradox. The same global movement that opens the door can also flatten what is inside. A practice rooted in liberation may be sold as self-improvement. A discipline of humility may become a stage for comparison. A sacred tradition may be reduced to a lifestyle image. Still, the story is not only negative. Adaptation has always been part of yoga's history. The challenge is memory. When people remember the depth behind the form, global access can become meaningful. When they forget, the outer shell remains, while the inner fire grows dim. Cultural respect matters because yoga carries living spiritual lineages. Yoga is not a fossil from a vanished past. It is connected to communities, teachers, languages, philosophies, and devotional worlds that are still alive. Respect begins by recognizing that the practice has roots deeper than the marketplace. This does not mean only one group may learn from it. It means learning should be accompanied by humility. Names should not be stripped of meaning. Sacred symbols should not become props without understanding. Teachings should not be claimed as personal inventions when they belong to a wider inheritance. Some people feel defensive about this, but the principle is simple. When you receive something valuable, you handle it carefully. Cultural respect protects depth. It also protects the learner from superficiality. To honor a lineage is to admit that we did not create the path from nothing. Others carried it, refined it, guarded it, and suffered to preserve it. Gratitude becomes part of practice. Scientific research now studies yoga's effects on stress and well-being. Modern researchers have become interested in what practitioners have reported for a long time. Yoga can influence mood, stress, sleep, flexibility, balance, and overall quality of life for many people. The research world asks careful questions. Which practices help, for whom, and under what conditions? This is important because yoga is often surrounded by exaggerated claims. Serious study can separate useful effects from wishful thinking. Yet the deeper fascination is that an ancient discipline has entered modern measurement. Breathing patterns, movement, relaxation, attention, and lifestyle may all interact in ways that affect the human system. Some people enjoy the mystery here. A practice shaped in spiritual cultures is now being examined through contemporary methods. It is like two languages trying to describe the same mountain from different sides. Science may not capture every meaning that yoga carries, but it can illuminate how practice changes lived experience. That conversation is still unfolding. Trauma-informed yoga adapts practice to support safety and choice. This approach recognizes that not every body experiences stillness, touch, breath, or closed eyes in the same way. For someone with a difficult history, certain instructions can feel overwhelming or unsafe. Trauma-informed practice changes the atmosphere. It offers options rather than commands. It respects consent. It invites awareness without forcing vulnerability. This matters because yoga should not become another place where people feel overpowered. Some people find this development important because it brings compassion and psychological insight into the room. The goal is not to push a person into an ideal shape. The goal is to help them rebuild a trustworthy relationship with their own body. Choice becomes part of healing. A student may keep the eyes open, skip a posture, adjust the breath, or rest when needed. This is not weakness. It is intelligent practice. Yoga becomes safer when the practitioner is treated as a participant, not an object to be corrected. Chair yoga shows that practice need not depend on athletic ability. A chair can turn yoga into something available for people who might otherwise be excluded. Older adults, office workers, people with limited mobility, and those recovering from injury can explore movement, breath, and attention without getting down to the floor. This matters because yoga is often marketed through images of extreme flexibility. Chair-based practice quietly challenges that assumption. It says the essence is not acrobatics. The essence is relationship with body and mind. A simple seated twist, shoulder movement, or breathing exercise can become meaningful when performed with awareness. Some people find this deeply democratic. The practice does not belong only to the strong, young, or already flexible. It can meet the human being exactly where they are. That idea brings yoga closer to its deeper purpose. If the path is about freedom, then accessibility is not a compromise. It is a reminder that inner work can begin from almost any position. Children's yoga often teaches attention through play and movement. Young minds do not usually enter practice through solemn philosophy. They learn through story, imitation, sound, balance, and imagination. A child may become an animal shape, breathe with a simple rhythm, or pause to notice how the body feels after movement. The point is not to force adult spirituality onto them. The point is to introduce self-awareness in a natural way. Some people find this valuable because attention is now challenged earlier than ever by screens, speed, and constant stimulation. Yoga can give children a vocabulary for calm, effort, emotion, and rest. It can also teach them that the body is not an enemy or an object for comparison. It is something to listen to and care for. The practice must remain safe and age-appropriate. When it does, it plants a quiet seed. A child learns that they can pause, breathe, and return to themselves before the world pulls them away. Restorative yoga values deep support over effort and intensity. In this style, the body is arranged with blankets, bolsters, blocks, or other supports so that effort can gradually dissolve. The posture is held without strain, and the nervous system is invited to settle. This may sound easy until a person tries it. Many discover that doing less is difficult. The mind wants progress, stimulation, or proof that something important is happening. Restorative practice challenges that addiction to effort. Some people find it radical because it treats rest as a serious discipline rather than a reward after productivity. The support is not laziness. It is a method. When the body no longer has to guard itself, attention can notice subtler layers of tension. The practice says that healing is not always produced by pushing. Sometimes the system changes when it finally feels safe enough to release. In a culture that worships intensity, this approach quietly asks whether exhaustion has been mistaken for strength. Yin Yoga explores stillness through long-held floor postures. This method uses time as part of the practice. Postures are usually held near the ground, with the body supported enough to remain for longer periods. The focus often moves toward connective tissues, joints, sensation, and the mind's relationship with waiting. The fascinating part is not just physical, it is psychological. When movement stops, the habit of escape becomes visible. The practitioner may meet boredom, irritation, memory, or tenderness. Nothing dramatic is required. Time does the revealing. Some people are drawn to yin because it feels like the opposite of constant speed. It asks the body to settle into a shape and listen. It also teaches the difference between useful intensity and harmful force. The edge must be respected. This makes the practice both simple and subtle. The body becomes a landscape of sensation, and stillness becomes an honest mirror. What cannot be heard in motion may become clear in pause. Vinyasa yoga links movement and breath in continuous sequence. This style can feel like a moving meditation when practiced with care. One action flows into the next, and the breath provides the thread that holds everything together. The practitioner is not simply performing separate shapes. They are learning transition, timing, and attention in motion. This matters because life itself rarely arrives in isolated poses. We are always moving from one state to another. Vinyasa trains that in the body. Some people love it because it can feel energetic, creative, and immersive. Yet the deeper teaching is not speed. It is continuity. Can awareness remain present during change? Can the mind stay connected while the body moves through challenge? When breath is lost, the practice becomes mechanical. When breath leads, movement gains intelligence. This is why the sequence can become more than exercise. It becomes a study of how one moment gives birth to the next, and whether awareness can travel with it. Iyengar yoga uses props to make alignment more accessible. A prop can change the entire meaning of a posture. It can bring the floor closer, support a limb, stabilize a joint, or reveal an action that was previously hidden. This approach rejects the idea that support makes practice less authentic. Support can make practice more truthful. Without it, a student may strain, collapse, or imitate a shape they do not yet understand. With it, they can feel alignment from the inside. Some people find this brilliant because it turns the room into a laboratory. Walls, chairs, belts, blocks, and blankets become instruments of investigation. A posture is no longer a vague command. It becomes a precise experience that can be adjusted and studied. This makes yoga more inclusive and more intelligent at the same time. The prop does not do the work for the practitioner. It teaches the practitioner what the work actually is. Precision becomes kinder when support is available. Ashtanga yoga follows set sequences with disciplined repetition. A set sequence can seem restrictive from outside, but its power lies in returning to the same terrain again and again. Because the order is known, the practitioner eventually stops wondering what comes next. Attention can move into breath, sensation, stamina, and mental reaction. The sequence becomes a mirror that changes because the practitioner changes. One day the same posture feels strong. Another day it reveals fatigue. Another day it exposes pride or impatience. Some people find this compelling because the method removes the need for constant novelty. Depth replaces variety. Repetition becomes a way to measure the mind's condition over time. The discipline can be intense, and it must be approached wisely. Yet the principle is profound. A fixed practice can reveal an unfixed self. By walking the same path repeatedly, the student sees the weather of the body and the habits of the mind with unusual clarity. Kundalini Yoga combines breath, sound, movement, and focused awareness. This modernly popular form is known for practices that can feel intense, unusual, and highly charged. A session may include repeated movements, strong breathing, chanting, meditative focus, and specific sequences called kriyas. The aim is often described in terms of awakening energy and expanding consciousness. Some people are drawn to it because it feels direct. It does not always move slowly toward the inner life. It can confront the practitioner quickly through rhythm, endurance, sound, and sensation. At the same time, the language around this style can become exaggerated if handled carelessly. The wiser approach is to see it as a potent method that should be practiced with grounding and discernment. Its fascination lies in integration. The voice, breath, body, and attention are not separate tools. They are activated together. The result can feel like an inner switchboard being engaged. Whether interpreted energetically or psychologically, it shows how many doors yoga can open at once. Prenatal yoga adapts ancient principles for changing bodies and birth. Pregnancy changes balance, breathing, energy, posture, and emotional life. A wise practice must respond to that reality. Prenatal yoga uses modified movement, supported positions, breath awareness, rest, and body listening to help the practitioner move through these changes with more steadiness. The goal is not performance. It is support. This form of yoga is especially interesting because it places ancient principles into one of the most ordinary and extraordinary human transitions. The body is not treated as a problem to fix. It is treated as intelligent, changing, and worthy of care. Some people find this deeply meaningful because it connects practice with birth, patience, and trust. It can also create a sense of community among expectant parents. Safety matters greatly, so guidance should be appropriate and medical needs respected. At its best, the practice teaches presence during uncertainty. It reminds the practitioner that strength can include softness, adaptation, and the courage to receive change. Yogic diet traditions connect food with clarity, energy, and compassion. Food is not treated only as fuel. In many yogic traditions, it affects the mind, the body, and the quality of practice. Some teachings favor foods believed to support clarity, steadiness, and balance. Others encourage moderation, non-harm, and awareness of how eating shapes desire. The deeper point is not rigid purity. It is relationship. What does this food do to attention? Does it make the body heavy, agitated, or clear? Does the way it was obtained agree with the values of the practice? Some people find this compelling because it brings spirituality into the most ordinary act. Eating becomes a daily moral and energetic choice. A meal can either dull the system or support it. It can express care or unconscious habit. Yoga does not allow the practitioner to separate the sacred from the kitchen. The path enters appetite, preparation, gratitude, and restraint. What we take in becomes part of what we become. Siva teaches that service can purify the heart through action. Service is a powerful antidote to spiritual self-obsession. The person can become fascinated by their own progress, their own peace, and their own special experiences. Siva turns attention outward. It asks how practice can benefit others. The work may be simple: cleaning a space, feeding people, helping a teacher, supporting a community, or acting with generosity can become part of the path. The key is intention. Service performed for praise still feeds the ego. Service offered sincerely can weaken its grip. Some people find this teaching important because it tests whether inner practice has softened the heart. Meditation may calm a person, but service asks whether that calm becomes useful. In many traditions, ordinary tasks were not separate from spiritual life. They were training in humility. The practitioner learns to act without needing to be seen as important. In that way, service becomes a quiet fire that burns away self-importance. The deepest yoga may begin after the mat is rolled away. A practice session can prepare the mind, but daily life reveals whether the practice has taken root. The real examination may come in traffic, conversation, disappointment, temptation, fatigue, or conflict. Can the breath be remembered when irritation rises? Can truth be spoken without cruelty? Can the body be treated with respect when no teacher is watching? This is where yoga leaves the controlled space and enters the ordinary world. Some people find this humbling because it means the mat is not a spiritual costume. It is a training ground. The point is not to become impressive for an hour. The point is to become more awake during the rest of the day. Every relationship becomes part of the curriculum. Every delay becomes a test of patience. Every success becomes a test of attachment. The rolled mat asks a silent question. Did the practice end, or has it finally begun? Every breath offers yoga a quiet place to begin. This is the final simplicity hidden inside a vast tradition. You do not need perfect conditions to return to practice. You do not need a special room, rare knowledge, or a flawless state of mind. The next breath is already available. It can be noticed in a chair, on a train, before sleep, after conflict, or in the middle of an anxious thought. That does not make the whole path easy. It makes the doorway immediate. Some people are fascinated by how something so small can carry so much. Breath is ordinary enough to be ignored and profound enough to change the direction of attention. It belongs to the body, yet it touches the mind directly. It arrives without pride. It leaves without possession. Yoga, at its deepest, may be the art of returning before life has to become dramatic. Begin with one breath. Then the ancient path is no longer far away. It is here. And so, we come to the end of this journey through yoga. We have seen that yoga is far older, wider, and stranger than the familiar image of a mat on the floor. It began as a search for freedom. It studied the mind with patience. It treated breath as a doorway, posture as a mirror, and daily life as the real testing ground of wisdom. We followed its path through ancient teachings, sacred texts, hidden disciplines, and living traditions. We saw how sound could steady attention. We saw how silence could reveal the mind. We saw how service, restraint, devotion, study, and surrender could become part of one complete way of living. And perhaps most importantly, we saw that yoga does not ask us to escape the world. It asks us to meet the world with a clearer mind and a steadier heart. So now, let the ideas begin to settle. Let the old names and teachings drift into the background. Let the breath return to its own simple rhythm. There is nothing more to solve tonight. There is nothing you need to hold tightly. Feel the body resting where it is. Let the shoulders soften. Let the jaw release. Let the hands become still. And as your mind loosens its grip on the day, remember this. The path does not need to be rushed. It can begin again with a single breath, a kinder response, or one moment of honest attention. If you enjoyed this journey, you can like, subscribe, or leave a thought below. It helps others find their way here too. And if you happen to still be awake, another gentle video is waiting on the screen for you. But for now, let the night take over. Let the practice become rest. Sleep well, and good night.